And it was like, wow, this is way more successful than anything I've ever done on my own. Plus, it creates a lot of intangible relationships between people that maybe wouldn't otherwise have met, and new projects and things. And that led to filming a local music documentary called I Play in Chico, which started as a commercial, and then there was so much interest that we're like, okay, I guess it's going to be a documentary now.
Okay.
And
so it started with the commercial and grew into a DVD. Ideas just kept going.
Yeah, it started as basically like how can we promote the music scene in Chico, California? And it was like, well, let's make a commercial was my idea. And I thought something kind of smarmy and like a political ad where it'd be like, my name is so and so, and I play in Chico. Like make it something to the public to want to be. Sure. I want to play in Chico too, And it was meant to be just a commercial, but then we had a lot of people with interviews, a lot of people wanted to be in it, and my buddy, I was just writing about this, my buddy Foxy Jeff, who filmed it while I did the interviewing, he ran up on me on a sidewalk on Halloween wearing a toga with his trusty GoPro in hand, and me wearing like a hillbilly outfit. And it was in that moment we decided to make it into a full-on documentary. And he actually has that conversation on film.
Oh, nice.
So it did organically develop based on interest. And then that turned into a 2,000 plus member Facebook group in Chico, now called We Play in Chico. It's the largest musician-based group in the region.
Okay.
And so again, it was like, okay, well that worked. And then tried to put on the world's longest concert. And at the time we started planning putting on the world's longest concert in Chico, it was set at 15 days, and we set out to double it from the very beginning. So we actually ended up going 34 days, 24 hours a day, and it's still the longest concert in history by weeks.
That's cool.
So again, it was like, wow, and then that was when we got a little bit of national news, we got regional news. As I told you privately before, I got to rap with Coolio.
Yes, and I was just going to bring that up, and I wanted you to retell that story again, because it was, that was a pretty cool, cool finale way to finish the...
Yeah, okay, so I'll explain that story, I guess, right now. Coolio was coming through the region anyway. Keep in mind, I think it's great to have that. We had Coolio and Deli to Dublin and Achilles Wheel and some other national and international acts, but 95, 99% of the performers were local artists, and it was for them that we did it. It's a great talking point that Coolio was a part of it, and we had a great time. But my heart is with the people that were there day after day, night after night.
Sure.
And so Coolio was coming to the area anyway, knew that months in advance. He booked a small gig at another venue in town, and I was talking with the owner of that venue and the promoter there, and his opening band. It was our house band at our concert, and we're trying to angle for him to come after, that wouldn't promote that he was going to show up, but that if he wanted to, just down the street, while he's in town, there's a thing happening, and if you want to be a part of it. And everybody started leaving about 3:30 in the morning, thinking, well, he's not going to show. And at 4, he showed up. And he's like, do you know any of my... When I shook his hand, Mr. Coolio, would you like to be on stage? And he's like, he just said, do you know any of my songs? And I went to the house band, who was a part of the whole getting him to the event in the first place, and asked, all right, you guys ready for some of the songs? And they were like, whoops, they hadn't rehearsed any. So I said, that's not going down like that. And I grabbed my laptop, went to the back, looked up the chords of Gangster's Paradise, which I was the first rap song I ever learned lyric for lyric. It was like 13 or 14, something like that. And so I was like, I can do that, and I knew it was just probably the same 4 chords over and over again. And it is unique chord progression, but I was like, okay, so I wrote on the dry erase board the chords, put it on stage, told the band these are the chords. Coolio jumped on stage, and all of a sudden, without intending to be, I was playing guitar and rapping, giving him backups on his lines. And I could see at a certain point he had shades on, he looked at me off the side like, you know the lyrics, like, you know this song. I'm like, well, I know this song. And we rocked it out, and then by then the word had spread, and everybody had come back, and the place was packed at 4 in the morning. And then he asked us to play Hotel California. He was thankful play it, and he rapped over it called California. And then he said, now give me something smooth and groovy. So we just made up something smooth and groovy. He rapped over that, and then, what really kind of touched me is when he was done, he said, my opinion of Chico, California has been completely altered by this experience. He said to the crowd, he's like, you guys are amazing. So it was powerful, it was a cool thing.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, I'm sure it was probably as meaningful to him as it was to you guys. And the thing I like about that story is, like you seized that moment, like
yeah.
it's like if Coolio or somebody walked in right now, like you can't just be like, oh well, yeah, I don't know any songs, like I don't know, you gotta, it's either now or
it's that Eminem thing, it's that you get one shot,
yeah,
and I kind of have a reputation of in a moment being like, all right, we're doing it this way, and just gung ho in a direction because there's no way I'm not going to let this opportunity pass.
Sure.
And sink or swim, we're doing it. So anyway, that concert, though the longest concert in world history, Guinness basically kind of dropped the ball and added rules after the fact and found all these little loopholes by which they could deny us, even though we actually did it per their rules. And so a year later, we did it again. 16 days, 24 hours a day, putting on the second longest concert in history. We went through a different verification agency, record set. They verified that. So even if people doubt the 34-day one, we got verified on the 16-day one. And so for a time there, Chico had the 2 longest concerts in world history. And while, as I told you before, I tried to create a competition for world's longest concert. I spent a year traveling the country with 50 different cities, 20,000 miles via Greyhound, connecting at open mics, meeting people like yourself, promoters, venue owners, like, let's do this thing. Everybody starts at the same minute, and see how long we can go. And that did not work at all. I mean, in certain communities, I met a bunch of people, and even Portland actually went 7 days on their own off that timeline before they weren't able to keep it going. It is very challenging. And so though that kind of didn't work.
And I can see how that can be tough, getting, a lot of people on the same page, day in and day. And that kind of brings me to transition into your record that you're going to actually attempt here at the Red Raven on this Friday.
Yeah.
So, and that's, just you. So you don't necessarily need a bunch of people. But why don't you give some details on that?
Right. Well, as a way to kind of build up my resume.
First of all, I guess I don't think we've gotten into what kind of music you do, or why don't we first?
I came up in like a folk singing environment, and artists like Ani DeFranco and Dave Matthews and Ben Harper, and even as far back as James Taylor and Simon and Garfunkel. Those are artists that they speak to me. I grew up in a very acoustic, around the campfire, everybody jamming kind of vibe, and so I really connect with that. But I also, I do hip hop covers. I grew up near Detroit, so there was a pretty strong influence of rap and hip hop growing up. And when I feel confident in it, so I don't want to be a poser with it all. So when I feel creatively driven towards that genre, I do that, but rock, all that. Basically the singer-songwriter stuff. So in order to add clout to my name as I was traveling, trying to put on this world's longest concert competition, which is earmarked. I might get back to that in a few years as the network grows. I feel as though if I had, say, $5,000 per venue to give them like a startup, to get going, that more would have happened if I had more backing, if it wasn't just me, And so, but anyway, I broke the world record for longest ukulele performance last December in my hometown while traveling to promote this competition idea. And I've been playing ukulele about 7-8 years, and that was kind of like a happenstance scenario. I started house sitting for somebody for a couple weeks, and they happened to have a little baritone ukulele, and I just left my guitar at home and just farted around with that, and it was fun. I mean, I really just enjoyed it. It kind of brings music that's like simple aspect. Just a few weeks ago, I was doing an open mic at Dempsey's, and I played ukulele, but didn't tell anybody that it was going to happen, but invited people up on stage to jam this 2-chord jam with me. And then Solveig was singing improv vocals, Nathan was on guitar, somebody was on the washboard, had somebody else on upright bass, which is 2 chords back and forth. And then, as we're jamming and everybody's getting into it, and it's just about done, I just unplugged my ukulele and went and sat down. And they just kept going and left it up to them to whatever they want ended. And the upright bassist, Dustin, he said that was a diabolical move. But, you know, it all started with 4 strings. You know, music doesn't need a whole lot. You can see a lot of people do amazing things with a recorder. It's a really simple instrumentation. So I broke it last summer as kind of like a side note, and not really the primary focus of what I was doing. But then when I came to Fargo, I spent a few months here because I heard a lot of good things about the scene. I wanted to start writing a book about the past few years. I thought it would be like I did my research. Fargo is up and coming. There's no question of it. In financial ways, in cultural ways. I'd rather be in a community that's growing than one that maybe it's already grown or has an opinion of itself already. You know, that's developing here. I like that. And so I came here and I started thinking, I could do the ukulele thing again and here. But to flip the script again into an open jam rather than come see me play. Again, come see me play.
And since we're talking about this, this isn't necessarily just your show. Like you're inviting all local musicians to just come up, and jam with you, or no matter their genre, right?
No matter their genre, their skill level. None of that stuff really matters. I've run open jams and stuff before, in group jams, and I got a pretty good sense of being able to tell, okay, within a few minutes, all right, this person's skill level is here, this person's here, this one's here, let's find the place where everybody lands. And then, so preparing, a whole side set list of kind of simple, straightforward, rocking out jams. And literally every single musician, every single rapper, every single poet, even an author who wants to read their book while I'm playing ukulele behind them.
I never even thought about that. That's interesting. I like that.
Anybody who wants to share the stage with me is invited.
And I would like to even encourage that too. Like I said, even if you're not a musician, you just want to come up and read something. I would say, go for it, especially if you've never been on stage. Like this is your time. Like he wants to take some of this off his shoulders, so let's help him out, and just come up and do whatever you do. And then do what you do.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I'm not doing this to break the record again. That's not a priority for me. The priority is connecting with the scene here, meeting musicians, and having a positive experience. I have a vision of maybe going to a few other cities around the country that I've been to and doing this as well, breaking my own record repeatedly. But if after a few attempts of that nature, I say, from now on it's just a 24-hour jam, I'm not going to keep going 40 hours, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Then that's fine, because the point is not to, break this record. That's really just the draw and something that's unique. Putting on a world record music event is a wholly unique experience, and I've done it several times now, and I've seen the community come out in ways that just can't even be, it can't even be described. The kind of relationships that happen, the new bands, the world's longest concert in history, 34-day one. I know of at least one baby that is alive today because of that concert. And
Sure, a few more than that.
Yeah, and the couple are now married, and they now own a venue up in the mountains near Chico. And I'm going back to Chico in August to put on a 3-day festival celebrating Woodstock at their venue. So, I knew her a little bit before the event, but not very much. And I didn't know him at all. They met there, fell in love, made a baby, bought a venue, and now they're on a festival at their venue a few years later. It's those intangibles.
Yeah, and I definitely appreciate it. You're like, and you just said, you're kind of like the orchestrator. You bringing everybody together, and even like you brought up you read Nancy's the other night, and I think that's actually where I first met you. I got in person. I was coming in, and you were kind of leaving. We talked for like 2-3 minutes, and a couple nights later. We got together and we just talked music for I think it was 3 hours.
And we both fall asleep while we're talking.
The craziest thing about that is I've been doing hip hop rapping for about 3 years, and you play ukulele.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, how much further ends of the spectrum are we on? But yet we still, it's just music. We have that passion, and we enjoy music, and that's all.
On that note, it's something interesting.
Hold on, one more thing. And I just want to finish on last Monday, a week ago, you were actually the one to get me to come do my first open mic.
Oh, yeah.
I just went out there, just kind of rap, freestyle, over some random beat. And, you were the one, who did that. It wasn't no other local people, it was you. You're not even from around here, so that's...
Well, I appreciate that. That open mic was cool because there were actually a few people there that, Jermaine, you two already knew each other, but I hadn't really met or hung out with him yet, and so that was cool. And he got me that Radio Free Fargo interview last night, so that even guys like Gary Vee, right, and all these other entrepreneurial mentors will say money is important. Okay, but it ain't shit compared to the network. The people you meet is invaluable. And his advice to people coming out the gate as interns or whatever is like, look, if you're not shaking hands with every single person you meet and remembering their name and staying in contact with them, you might as well not even intern. Because that's the whole point. And I feel like at this point in my life, I'm exploring for a lot of different communities the idea of world record music events and other collaborative, maybe multi-city simultaneous festivals. It's kind of like my goal.
So you're not only bringing local cities together, you're bringing the nation.
That's what I'm trying to do, yeah. And for now, and I'm hoping in 5-10 years, that Europe gets involved in that as well.
Yeah, well, why don't we just take it to the world? I mean, why don't we just start expanding to other planets too? There's no limits.
I'm
right?
on that too.
Like Master P said, no limits.
If I can ever, before I'm dead, if I can ever get into a conversation with Elon Musk, it's going to be like, how can I put on the first music festival on Mars? Like, I know you guys said take you some time to set things up there, but after that, can I go there and play ukulele for 5 minutes and have the world record on Mars? I absolutely agree. It's exactly it. And I know that you can see the vision and the scope pretty easy. And it starts with getting people together to create something together rather than everybody pulling everybody else, come to my show, come to my show, come to my show. There's value in that. But the more you can make it our show, or let's do something crazy together, I asked you the other night when we were hanging out, if you had 100 people who were like, all right, Colt, what do you want us to do? What would you have to do? And so then once you start, you have the same mindset too, is reverse engineering an idea. You go, all right, well, let's say we want to have the largest marching band in world history. Okay, so that requires a marching, so we need to put on some kind of event that goes at least a mile, okay? And then, what is the largest marching band? Start researching, and they're like, okay, how can we get more than that? And then how much time are we going to need to do that? I got other ideas too, I got a buddy who's really into the metal and punk scene in Chico, promotes shows there, and we want to do an event where it's a paintball festival. So everybody's shooting at each other while over here on the stage, there's metal bands all day long.
That's an interesting concept.
And while I've been traveling, I've seen stuff like, there's an event called Pancakes and Booze, which is now in many cities where people go out to see art at a bar, and somebody's there making pancakes as well. It's just that simple, and this is going off. There's a women's only beer appreciation group called the Beer Necessities that a woman started in Austin because she felt that women were underrepresented in the craft beer industry, and it's women only. And now it's in Seattle. Now she's moved to New York to start it there. It's like there's once you put your mind to the we attitude, there's the possibilities are literally limitless.
Okay, so yeah, let's start wrapping this up, and just let everybody know it's first of all, it's at the Red Raven, downtown Fargo on Main, just off of Broadway, and just go ahead and details on when it starts.
Sure. It starts at 10 a.m. on Friday the 28th, and it will not finish till 4 p.m. on the 29th, the next day. Red Raven has it's a perfect fit because as a co-op coffee shop, they've been considering the idea of doing 24-hour weekends anyway. And so when I messaged a handful of venues around town about doing this, and got resistance, and then from Red Raven, yes, definitely, was their first response. So then it just came down, we picked a day, it was just that easy. So in the spirit of go where you're celebrated, this is definitely the spot. And if you want to ever get stage time here, here's your chance for stage time anywhere. Here's your chance. I would love to just sit back, strum my 4 chords, and it still remain an entertaining and engaging show for everybody who comes out to see it. Otherwise, I'm going to be doing like 6-10-minute versions of all my songs. Also, no cover songs are allowed. They don't pay ASCAP here, which means all originals and all unique original jams. The rules for an event like this require that I don't repeat a song within a 4-hour time frame. So I try to shoot for more like 6 or 7 hour loop. But as long as we can, have 60 or so, 60, 70 songs on rotation, then we're good. But please, also if you're an original songwriter, come out and tell me what your chords are, and we'll play your songs too. Like, this is really not about me so much as an excuse to get everybody together and do a collaborative effort.
Okay. So, and yeah, I would like to, I guess I'll start with my hip-hop artists, all you rappers and whatnot, come up here and, you want to try out some new bars, a new verse, new song you've been working on, come up here. And I know I've been a plan on coming up here and rapping with you, and I'm thinking I'm probably going to have to do it in between my 2 jobs, so it might be around midnight on Friday night,
Yes.
and I'm thinking if we can maybe work something out where I can get the time slot like 11:55 to 12:05, so I can say I rapped with you for 2 days straight,
Sure, straddle the days for me. And that's another point, is any time that ends in AM is when your efforts and involvement will be most appreciated.
So, all right, well, Julian, thank you. I appreciate the interview, and we'll see you guys here at the Red Raven this Friday and Saturday.